Hey guys, this is Jockey Man, and I just want to quickly make this video as a way um, to say how I want to voice my feelings on the latest Veigar changes. If you weren't aware, well, most of you aren't, but if you've been checking out with sites like Surrender at 20 or others of the same type, you'll find out that Mordekaiser and Veigar have received their reworks as of late on the public beta access for League of Legends. I, being a Veigar main, am very concerned in the patches, or basically buffs slash nerfs that are being given to Veigar in 5.4 that will release either this Wednesday or the Wednesday after this Wednesday. In this patch, Veigar will be changed quite significantly from his current form. After the most powerful mid laners, Azir and Fizz, were nerfed in the earlier patch, 5.3, Veigar has seen a lot more play, not only as a mid laner but as a support. His utility in the fact that he has an instant cast 2.5 second stun at max rank that is, if you know how to use it, unavoidable, is quite good. And that's what I've banked on for quite some time, just being able to stun someone from super far away and walk up to them, WQ ult, and they're dead. Well, the way that Riot's taking things lately is that they want to introduce counterplays so that there's something you can do before you get instantly killed by Veigar. So this is what they've done. His Q, Primordial Blast, which is his main farming tool, is in the current version anyway, not in PvE, is a single target high damage spell that of course can be blocked with stuff such as Wind Wall and Fiora's Parry. But when it kills a unit, it gives you AP. AP is ability power, which you can... Well, AP, of course, is one of the two main sources of damage, being attack damage and ability power. Ability power is central to using all of Veigar's skills, because he has extremely good scalings, including a 1.2 scaling on his ultimate. By 1.2, I mean it scales for... Basically, you do 120% of your AP when you use your ultimate. But with this ability, with your Q, you can obtain an unlimited amount of AP. But currently, you have to do this one minion at a time, and it takes often a bit too long to do it. I've gotten at most 300 AP, but most of your AP that comes from your passive, well, from the passive on your Q, often comes from killing champions. For every rank you have in your Q, when you kill a champion from any source of damage, not an assist, you get AP equal to your level, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. You also get 2 extra AP if you killed them with the Q. So that's 7 AP per champion kill if you know what you're doing. But on PvE, they decided to change things up a bit. So his Q, Baleful Strike, as it is called, is now a skill shot, meaning that it is not a point-and-click damage. You have to aim it at something. Oh, skill. But in the term of things, this means that your Q is not going to be able to just target this minion. You say, alright, I want this minion slow, I want to kill it so I can get AP. And you can do it through infinite amounts of minions, but now it's like most skill shots stop on the first unit hit, meaning that, well, that unit just blocked me from getting my AP. Well, that sucks. Well, they did add some range, but I think the most significant thing they did was make it so it can hit 2 units. When it hits a unit, it goes through it and hits 1 additional unit. This is a huge deal because, of course, instead of getting 1 AP, you can get 2. And of course, 2 is better than 1 in most cases. And of course, since you want more AP, you're going to find yourself getting to the nuke level a bit faster, not exactly twice as fast, because you're not going to be able to line up the perfect double kill Q every single time. But it's certainly a help. They did also add some range on it, so you can get some better sieging potential. A friend talked to me about how this ability could be used to siege extremely well, because lots of times the squishies will hide behind the tanks, And since your Q goes through them, you can hit the tank and the AD carry simultaneously, and your Q in the late game usually does about 800 damage. So, taking out a good, I'd say 1/3 of the ADC's health with one ability, and hitting the tank when they're supposed to be blocking it for them, it's pretty good. Next up, Dark Matter. Just lower mana cost, lower cooldown, because Veigar doesn't drop enough meteors. He needs to drop more meteors on people. So that should make people more happy to spam W, but I don't think this is going to be any change. Still going to get W at level 7, so that I don't have to waste mana having people walk out of the way of a clearly marked indicator. And speaking of clearly marked indicators, here we come to Event Horizon. So, for the change, Event Horizon's range has been increased by 50, meaning you can hit it from 50 more range, meaning it's even more such a ridiculously long stun. But they've added a 0.75 delay on it, and it leaves a warning particle telling the enemy where the stun is going to come from. Meaning you can't just say, oh, boom, you're stunned for 2.5 seconds, even though this is supposed to be a cage. I just hit you with the edge of the cage. But now, you're going to want to go for the cage. And 0.5 seconds is just enough so that if you hit them in the center, that they're not going to get out. So I think that getting quick cast on this ability and just dropping it right on people is going to be the way to go. But I think just knowing how to predict where your opponent's going to move and being able to use their confusion to your advantage will be the skill to using this ability in the future. And finally, his ultimate has been hit pretty hard, down from a 1.2 AP scaling on his ultimate is now down to a flat 1, meaning that he's not going to be able to get as ludicrous in the late game, but I think this is just, as Riot said, Veigar was deleting people a bit too reliably in the early game due to his Q buff. So I don't know, it might be a nerf in some way, but it also might be unnoticeable if you can play the Q game right. But seeing as how a lot of the aggressive mid laners have been nerfed or are just straight up countered by Veigar, I'm looking at you, Katarina. But yeah, he does look to be in a very good spot, and he has a very bright future. I don't know how people are going to react to that E nerf. It's the E nerf, or the E change is definitely a nerf. There's no doubt about it. But other than that, there's not much to say. So thank you, and if you have any suggestions on what champions that you want to see me cover in a later video, please tell me. I'll try and get back to it, but no promises. Thank you, and see you later.